Remember that when the lockdown was introduced, one of the things that was not allowed was, of course, the trading in some of the places such as restaurants. And in fact, the alcohol ban was one of the hard-hitting factors around some of those regulations. But today we're just trying to get reaction, moving to alert level 1 with an easing of some of those restrictions. We are going to speak to Wendy Alberts from the Restaurant Association. Thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us so early in the morning. But just your initial reaction to what the President said yesterday, particularly about that lifting of the curfew to 12 a.m. So just give us a sense of what these news mean for the restaurants.
Look, champagne corks were definitely popping all around the restaurants in South Africa last night. It was a welcome message from the President of South Africa. And as an association, we certainly do extend our heartfelt thanks to both the President and to the lovely Minister of Tourism for the advocacy and always being available to talk to us in looking at levels and looking at ways to collaborate to reopen the industry. You know, what this all means for the South African restaurant industry is not only about the beautiful businesses that you see and the people that work in it. It's the extended food chain and the extended value chain that starts to reopen, bring more people back to work, looking at ways to mobilize the industry, looking at ways to rebuild the industry, and the complete igniting of passion that brings us back to a sense of normality. So notwithstanding all of that, you know, you've seen over the last couple of weeks, we were very close to a decimated industry in January, and we were on bleeded knees begging the President and South Africa to support us. And the South Africans have come back and they've shown us that we are the most loved industry in South Africa, that we can recover, that we do have an opportunity to work safely and to do all the beautiful things that we can to bring the experiences to people. And that is what we're going to continue to advocate. We're going to continue to keep people safe. We're going to respect the protocols. We're going to continue to commit to the regulations and do everything that we can to keep this beautiful industry open. You know, it's coming time now to Easter. It is one of the most festive areas and times in South Africa. And as we move closer to that, we cannot face another decimation in the industry. So we're going to continue to call to the beautiful people of South Africa to do what we've done over the last weeks. Follow protocols, respect the restaurateurs, respect each other. Let's work together and move through this time as we swiftly go through the next couple of months in level 1 and try and keep the industry open.
Wendy, one of the things that I'm thinking about now is when you recall the difficult times that you've went through as an industry, it certainly came at a price. And I'm talking about those that had not been able to keep their doors open even as these restrictions are lifted. But just take us through just maybe the effect in terms of some of the businesses that had to close down, some of those that had to close their doors, unfortunately, and are not operating today. Are there any means to try and assist them at this stage?
You know, one of the key things for me, which has been the most heartbreaking throughout the level of lockdown, is people losing their jobs. We've got some of the most beautiful people that work in this industry, and it takes a very, very special type of human being to be in hospitality, to serve people, to look at creating experiences. And as we saw the industry getting decimated, more and more of these beautiful, passionate people lost their jobs. So the ability to bring these beautiful people back into our businesses and for us to open up and to extend and to bring economical reprieve is just going to be more meaningful to the industry. What we also do know is that this is such a loved industry, it's such a hospitable industry, and it's easy for people to look at ways to reopen businesses. We've got collaboration with the landlords. We are able to open an empty shop and put a beautiful restaurant here in it, bring staff into it, extend on the food chain and the value chain, and be able to bring some form of ignition back to it. So that's the one good thing about the restaurant industry. So as hard as what we've been hit, there is now in level 1 the ability for more movement, the curfew, restriction on the alcohol, though we did benefit certainly off the full-time alcohol sales that the restaurants were able to serve. But, you know, it's a time for everybody in South Africa to unify, to collaborate, and to find mechanisms that we can really rebuild the industry in South Africa and rebuild South Africa and the morale on its whole. So all of this on level 1 really speaks to me on 3 levels. 1, people start feeling passion about South Africa. When people are passionate about South Africa, they have a purpose. When they feel purposeful, they're able to move into their dreams, they move into their businesses, they're able to fill their days with pride, and they're able to then rework themselves in a position which brings flow to the economy. And I look forward to that over the next couple of months.
Yeah, and one of the things you did speak about was collaboration. And I think one of the factors that had affected the alcohol sales was, of course, the fact that there is some certain behavior that we see, even as you go out to places such as pubs. The behavior there does not follow protocol at some of these establishments. But what is it then that is going to be as an effort from your guys to say that we are going to make sure that everyone complies with some of the regulations stipulated by the President?
Look, what we've seen over the last 3 weeks is that Minister Cele's office has been very active within the sector. They certainly have been taking out the rogue operators. There's a zero tolerance for operators who do not comply with the regulations. And we are very appreciative that they've taken the authoritative measures to do what they need to do. We've seen that a lot more civilians and the public are certainly reporting the rogue operators, and they know who they are. They need to play their part. You know, they were irresponsible in December. They cost the industry to close down. We're asking again, and we appeal to them all the time, do not be a handful of operators looking for financial gains at the expense of the restaurant industry. There are beautiful restaurants sited all around South Africa. There are parts of the tourism belt that's badly decimated that we need income to rebuild those parts, and we certainly are looking on every corner to find some economical reprieve, to look at bringing in revenue to bring Dorpies and towns and little places that are an hour away from your hubs, to be able to bring life into those areas. And we can't do it if we are sitting constantly fighting on the different degrees of levels and trying to keep people safe. So we all have to play a part, and I think if we move through, the vaccines are here. We're certainly going to leverage off the discussions that we've had to bring vaccines to the next level with the restaurant staff. There are frontline staff, they need to have it. And as we move through the months and we get the vaccinations, we'll continue to move through COVID. And I'm proud to be South African today, and I'm proud of the President, and I'm proud that we have reopened the industry. And I look forward to working with all these beautiful restaurants and rebuilding our industry and looking for more financial reprieve to bring efforts into our industry.
All right, thank you so much, Wendy Alberts from the Restaurant Association, just taking us through their relief, saying that they very much welcome some of the regulations that have been lifted, some of the restrictions that had been lifted, and the curfew as well coming in handy. But what they are saying is that they're calling for all of those that are rogue to act right and not try to gain money at the expense of the Restaurant Association, but certainly a welcomed relief for the industry. Tumelo.
All right, thank you so much, Lindoro, for this update. We move to